Okay, the meeting is now being recorded. We're live streamed to Facebook. The meeting is yours.
I'd like to call to order the Thursday, November 12th meeting of the Stonington Board of Police Commissioners. And can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Raj?
Stand by.
Go ahead.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic,
the republic for which
which
it
stands
stands,
one nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
under God, indivisible,
liberty,
with liberty and
justice
for all.
justice
for all.
for all.
Okay, the first order of business is the election of board officers. Do I have a motion for chairman?
Mr. Vice Chairman, this is Mr. Tabor. Mr. Vice Chairman, I would like to make a motion recommending you, Robert O'Shaughnessy, to be chairman of the Stonington Police Commission beginning today and for the ensuing year.
Okay, do I have a second on the motion? Is there discussion on the motion from the commissioners?
Yes, hi, this is Lisa Tepper Bates, and I would like to offer some discussion.
Go ahead. You're recognized.
Thank you. First, I would like to thank the Board of Select Persons for the honor of appointing me to this important body. This is my first meeting. I have lived in Stonington for 15 years. My husband is a native of the Mystic portion of Stonington, and our son truly knows only Stonington as his home. It is a privilege to serve my community through this role, and I'm eager to work together with the other commissioners, with Chief Stewart and the department as a whole. There's much to be proud of in our police department, and I look forward to building on the strengths to help keep making our department better every day. At this meeting today, the most important item before us is this one, to select a chair. While the Police Commission chair has relatively limited specific authority, it is nonetheless an important position. The chair leads the commission. The chair often speaks for the commission. And by electing someone to chair, we are elevating that individual as a standard bearer for this department and our community. Those who lead any public body must clearly represent the values that we embrace as a town. This is even more important with regard to Stonington's Police Commission, given the role with which we are charged to provide civilian oversight of the police on behalf of all Stonington residents and businesses, whoever they are, however they identify themselves, and wherever they came from to our town. With this in mind, I regret that I cannot vote for Robert O'Shaughnessy as chair of the Board of Police Commissioners. Mr. O'Shaughnessy has many strong positives in his record of service to the state and the community. However, in the very recent past, he endorsed clearly and publicly, not once, but multiple times, opinions that are directly contradictory to the values this commission should represent. I want to be clear that I believe very strongly in free speech. I also believe that people can learn and change, and that we must, as a society, provide space for this opportunity. I do not pretend to stand in judgment of Mr. O'Shaughnessy or any other individual as a person. I also believe, however, that every individual must be held accountable for the views and opinions they endorse. This is especially true for anyone who has the privilege to hold, by election or appointment, an office of the public trust. At this point in time in our nation and our community, it is more important than perhaps ever before that those of us who have the opportunity to lead our communities are clear about our values. This is my expectation, and it is the expectation of the many, many Stonington residents that I know. Values include that all people are welcome in Stonington and that all people are entitled to fair and equal treatment by the police and by all other town and civic bodies. We should be expected to bring different perspectives to this commission. At the same time, all people in our town have the right to hear in every expression of our opinions that we have fundamental respect for each and every individual in our town. I want to make clear that I'm firmly resolved to work cooperatively with any and all members of this commission going forward and in the best interests of this community. However, I believe we owe it to the people of Stonington to ensure that the leadership of important bodies like this are clear through what they do and what they say that they represent these values. It is therefore my intention to vote nay on the motion of electing Mr. O'Shaughnessy, Chair of the Stonington Board of Police Commissioners. And I will ask Mr. Chair to submit these comments I've provided in writing to be included in the record of this meeting.
Commissioner Bates, thank you very much. Is there any other discussion on the motion? Okay, we'll have a vote on the motion now. Commissioner Tabor,
Aye.
Commissioner Elmer,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Bates.
Nay.
Okay, Commissioner, the motion carries. Our second is to elect the vice chairman of the commission. Do I have a motion on the floor to elect a vice chair?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I nominate Commissioner Robert Tabor as co-vice chair of the Police Commission to serve for the year 2021.
Do I have a second on that?
Mr. Turner, second.
Any discussion on the motion? Votes. I vote aye. Mr. Elmer,
Aye.
Mr. Turner,
Aye.
Mrs. Bates, Lisa
Aye.
Bates. Motion carried. I have a motion for secretary.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Tabor. I would make a motion to have Bob Elmer fulfill that position of secretary for this next year.
Do I have a second on the motion?
Mr. Turner, second.
Vote on the motion. Mr. Tabor,
Aye.
Mr. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Elmer,
Aye.
Ms. Bates, Commissioner Bates,
Aye.
and I bet aye. Motion carried. That's the election of officers. I'll now move on to the remarks of the public. The remarks of the public, if there's anything that is on the agenda that we're going to speak of later, please hold your remarks until then. If there are any remarks of the public on things that are not on the agenda from this time, we'll take those at this time. If you're on the phone and you want to be recognized, hit *3 and you'll be unmuted by the moderator. Are there any comments from the public?
And we'll give them a moment to get that done. And folks, that's press *3 on your phone. It'll prompt the moderator so that you can be unmuted to make any comments you may have.
Roger, are there any comments?
At this time, no one has indicated they would like to speak, so you have the option of moving on.
All right, we're going to move on to new business. And the first thing on the new business agenda is the Daigle Law Group, and I'd like to ask the chief to fill us in on this.
First of all, Roger, I believe Attorney Eric Daigle is on the line. I don't know if Eric, are you on at this point in time?
Yes, Chief, I'm here.
Hey, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Hey, just a quick to the commission and everybody listening. Police departments have policies and procedures, and things constantly change in the world, and what we need to do and how we go about doing it. And policies and procedures are monumental tasks within any police department. You talk to any organization around the country and what they have to do. As of late, the legislature has created some laws, and one of those particular laws require police departments to be accredited, actually nationally accredited at some point in time, probably in 2025 off the top of my head. So that's going to require a lot of work on the part of police departments around the state, and really a monumental task. So many police departments around the state, around the country, enlist the services of an organization or a group like Eric Daigle's Law Group that does a ton of training. And Eric is well known throughout not just Connecticut, but around the country for his background in policy, procedure, and assisting police departments in coming up to accreditation standards, et cetera. So not to take all of Eric's thunder, but we are at a point where our rules and regulations need a revamp and need to have something done to them anyways. And now certainly with the new law, it has pushed that along. So I'm going to recommend to the Board of Police Commissioners, after you hear Eric's quick introduction, is that because of COVID and a couple of other things, that I go to the Board of Finance probably in the next month or two, because after January 1st, they can do some line item transfers and move approximately $20,000 over to our, I'll figure out what account, and then start the Daigle Law Group on completely revamping our policies and procedures. So I'll turn it over to Eric, and not to steal all of his thunder and talk forever tonight, but welcome, Eric. We appreciate your opportunity, and thank you for all you do for law enforcement around the country. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chief. And I'll just give you all, and thank you for welcoming me to your meeting. I just want to give you a little bit of information, and I can definitely answer any questions. I've been involved in law enforcement for over 30 years, started my career at the state police in 1992. I still got my law degree and have been in the practice of law enforcement operations for approximately 20 years. Daigle Law Group is a firm that was opened about 20 years ago. It's not an average law firm. It's more of what we call a management organizational consulting firm, meaning that we work with police executives across the country to ensure that they are meeting the requirements of legal operational standards for the protection of not only the entity, but for the men and women that work for the department. There's a lot of scrutiny, as you know, and there has been a lot of scrutiny for a long time on police operations, and police executives are under a lot of pressure to meet a lot of moving requirements along the way. We focus on systems to ensure that police executives have assistance in developing a policy manual that will meet the needs of your residents and your community. So just to understand, there are national standards with accreditation, and CALIA accreditation is one of them, is the national standard. We have Connecticut Post accreditation, and then we have obviously our laws and guiding principles in the state of Connecticut, state statutes. What we will do is work with your department to build, to make sure, one, they meet all the required standards, but also more importantly, work to develop a policy that will meet the needs of your community and the policing services that your community desires. So this is not buying something off the shelf. This is a consulting application that takes approximately 12 to 18 months to complete, with about 135 operational policies. And you know, there's always those very sensitive ones like use of force and complaints investigation and those, but there's also the everyday policies on the operation of the department. And so our team will work with your team and the chief to make a policy manual that meets national standards, state standards, but also meets the policing mission and principles of your town. So I'm welcome to answer any questions you may have. You feel free to check us out on dagalawgroup.com or dlgpolicycenter.com. Those are the websites that describe the processes, so that you can see that we have a long history in this state and throughout the country with this type of services. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Has this accreditation been done previously?
Yes, sir. So departments that are under ours. So accreditation is a multi-tiered application. One part of accreditation is policy requirements, but there are also other accreditation standards such as building and operational standards. The key for us is that your policy manual upon completion will be able to meet the requirements of national and state accreditation if your department chooses to move forward. As the chief said, House Bill 6004 has a requirement in it for accreditation, but the key to accreditation is it's expensive, and that's one of the challenges that the House bill is being addressed is who's going to pay for that. So one part of this is it's good to have a manual that meets those standards. Whether or not you choose to go forward with the full accreditation is something that will be left to you all to decide in a financial application in the future.
How
But
long
this
ago
one-
was, how long ago was this done?
What's that, sir?
The last accreditation?
Well, we're just actually finished the city of Bridgeport, which is going for final state accreditation. That's our latest client to do that. We have over 30 Connecticut clients and hundreds across the country.
Sorry, maybe I didn't ask the question. Has this been done for Stonington in the past?
Oh, I don't know, sir. I don't think so.
Okay,
And we have never had it done, right?
No.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Chair, I'd like to ask a question. This is Lisa Tepper-Pace.
Sure, go ahead, please.
Great. Attorney Daigle, I'm just curious as to whether this accreditation might open up the way to specific types of federal or other law enforcement grants that are available to departments that have this set of credentials. Is that a possibility?
I think it is because what we've seen and what we would expect from the administration coming into office is that there has been some grants in and of have been very limited over the past 4 or 5 years, but we do see some discussion that grants will be directly related to proper policy and proper training, and that the federal government will only be providing grants to people that meet the requirements of these standards. So I think while that program is not fully defined yet, I believe that this will be beneficial for you to meet those standards when applying for grants. And I do believe that will become a structured requirement under the new administration.
Thank you.
Good.
Eric, it's Bob O'Shaughnessy. Do you have a range of what this will cost the town for this review? Any ideas? I mean, I don't know, you'll have to look at the policies and the stuff before you can give us a definite idea, but do you have a range of what it may run to?
Yes, so we gave an estimate to the town, and the way we base our estimate is the size of your department. And so the estimate was ranged in approximately 15 to 20,000. The issues on the table will obviously be that this is going to take more than a year, so it's going to be within at least 2 budget cycles, and the challenges that are faced are the challenges that we get in normal operations. It could be union challenges. It could be.
The estimate was ranged in approximately 15 to 20,000. The issues on the table will obviously be that this is going to take more than a year, so it's going to be within at least 2 budget cycles.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. We had somebody with apparently our live stream going on in the background, and they were unmuted. So continue,
Okay.
please.
Yes, so it's an estimate because it's a consultation services, which means we're not just selling a product. We're actually working with the department on in assisting the chief and working through making sure the policies meet the mannerisms of how you all would like policing to occur in your community. So based on the size and based on our history with departments of the same size, that's how we come up with the numbers that we gave as an estimate, which is a range of 15 to 20,000 over about an 18-month period.
Mr. Daigle, this is Commissioner Tabor. When the contract is finalized, when your estimate of, the scope of the work is determined and a contract is prepared and whatever that number turns out to be, is there basically, I'll use the term, an upfront cost that is the town would be obliged to pay you in order to, lock in your services, and then a final completion, I would assume, would be done when the project is completed. But is there an intermediate payment, I guess, is my question.
No, sir. This is a monthly billing process. The services rendered will be invoiced on the end of the month of the service that they're rendered. So there's no retainer fee or upfront fee that occurs. When my team starts to work with your team, they will begin to invoice the chief on a monthly basis. And so you'll have as the board, you can get continued updates on the progress of your project and the amount of money spent in the project as it goes from beginning to end.
Yeah, I was just curious as to, how we have to factor in what at our end, what the budgetary impact would be, how we would pay for it, so that answers that question. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any other questions from the commissioners?
I just have one comment.
Hang on.
Another comment. I'll just slide over here. Just so the commission knows, Eric has, and he mentioned it, been working with police departments around the state. He's considered one of the top experts in use of force around the country. I've seen him at the International Chiefs of Police conferences, talking to police chiefs and police executives around the country. He travels the country, developing policy and helping police departments with these manuals, and also developing ideas for their communities to satisfy accreditation, and also ensure that we have rules and regulations that reflect how police officers operate in the real world. So with that, I would highly recommend that the police commission authorize me to go to the Board of Finance, ask for line item transfer out of our reserve officer account, because we haven't had the reserves working this year because of COVID, and put that money over towards the Daigle Law Groups to get this going. We're going to have to do it anyways because of the state law and the requirements. So with Eric's expertise, I think it's a step in the right direction. And you have an attorney that's working with us, a nationally known attorney that is with us every step of the way. And I talked to Eric on many occasions, and he's a true professional. And hope the commission shares that, and we certainly look forward to working with Eric on making things better for us.
Plus, I would think, this is Commissioner Tabor, I would think there'd be some sensibility in getting towards the beginning of the line, because in today's world, it looks as though he's going to be a busy fellow, and it'd be good to start as quickly as we can. Because it's, as you said, Chief, it's something we're going to be required to do anyway. So you'll have to put on your convincing conversations when you speak to the Board of Finance folks. But they're pretty reasonable.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, to Commissioner Bates's comments about qualifying us for grants, there'll be a return on the investment in this. Am I correct in assuming that?
I believe so, yes. Like Commissioner Elmer says, we need to get ahead of this, because I'm sure that Mr. Daigle is going to be very busy on, from other departments. So can I get a motion to authorize the chief to move forward with the Board of Finance on the Daigle Law Group?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Commissioner Tabor,
Aye.
Elmer,
Aye.
Turner,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. All motion passes. Mr. Daigle, thank you very much. Look forward to seeing your result of your work.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Eric.
you, everyone. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Chief.
The next item on the agenda is Planning and Zoning Garden Home Derby Company. And this is to transform up by Whitehall Avenue to transfer some sites into more homes. There are 10 sites.
Should be somebody on the line, I believe.
Okay. Is there anybody on the line that to talk about this issue?
If you've dialed in, go ahead and press *3 on your phone and I will unmute you. Okay, stand by a second.
Okay, pause.
All right, is that working now, Mr. Chairman?
I can hear you. Please identify
Oh,
yourself.
good, I'm sorry. Yes, of course. This is Attorney Mark Brance, B-R-A-N-S-E, and I'm representing the applicant here, Garden Homes. I had hoped to participate in visually so I could do a share screen with you, but my computer decided to update this moment. And also the link that I got, I'm afraid, brought me to your agenda and not actually to the meeting. So I hope that the planning department is providing you with plans. This is the existing Fair Acres Mobile Home Park located west of Route 27, just south of the Days Inn Hotel. It's an existing mobile home park that became legally non-conforming at some point in the past, I imagine many years ago. This is the northeast quadrant of the development that was to be built. In fact, the road is graveled in, but there are no homes on it. The application has been filed under the Connecticut Affordable Housing Act, Connecticut General Statutes 8-30G, which exempts it from the local zoning, provided that 30% of the units, in this case it's 10 units, so 3 units, must be deed restricted for 40 years to be sold or rented to at prices that are affordable, considered affordable under the Act. Of that 30%, half of them are at 15% of median income. Half of them are at half of them 15% have to be at 80% of median, and the other 15% at 60% of median. Generally speaking, throughout Connecticut, that corresponds to about $46,000 a year for a family, and $68,000 a year for a family. So this is not welfare. These are people that have to have jobs. The proposal is to use what are called double wides. I did provide the town staff with photographs of the proposed units. They are not single, they are not trailers. They arrive in 2 halves and are assembled on site. There are multiple accesses to the site from the commercial properties to the east, and also from Michelle Lane on the north, and then another driveway off of Route 27 directly. So it's a 10 units. I guess I'm open to questions. Does the commission have the plans that were submitted?
We have a set here at the police headquarters, but I don't think each of the commissioners have a set of those because they came in not in a timely manner to get them to them.
Okay.
I have a question. You're going to use the existing egress and egress on the 27. Is no new entrances or exits going to be created in this area, correct?
That is correct.
Any of the other commissioners have questions? I know you're at a disadvantage without seeing the.
I have one, Mr. Chairman. This is Commissioner Tabor. Attorney Brantz, and I'm asking the question not to indicate any opposition to what you're attempting to do, but just one out of curiosity, whenever an application or a project is coming to town under that state statute that basically precludes some zoning issues, could you highlight, for example, and maybe not all, but some of the more important typical zoning requirements that you would be typically faced with in this project or with this project that are non-issues because of the state statute?
Certainly, Commissioner. You can have a double wide mobile home on any subdivision lot. That's by state statute. You don't need 830G for that. But it's the number of units per acre, basically. I mean, these are single family homes. They'll have front and backyards, but you would not, under current zoning, be allowed to have that many houses in that small an area.
So it's a setback issue then, right? Kind of.
It's setbacks and lot size. I get lot size and density. That's what we would not be able to meet. That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
This is Commissioner O'Shaughnessy. I have a question. We have a moratorium in town here on sewer connections, and we're not sure when that is going to be resolved. Maybe not till into 2021. So this project will not come into existence until the sewers are available. Is that correct?
That is correct. We were aware of that. The latest I heard from Mr. Middleton was targeting June, but unfortunately COVID-19 has disrupted all kinds of supply lines on many products and many projects. But we were aware of that. We actually have 3 vacant lots, existing lots, that we can't replace because of the moratorium. So we are aware of it. We know we won't be able to break ground until that is resolved.
Are there any other questions from the commissioner for the attorney? Well, I think that until we get closer to the event and the other commissioners can see the actual project, I think we'll continue this to
Traffic.
Does any of the commission see any problems with traffic, safety, or parking with this plan, even as it's been discussed?
We lose it.
Do we have any additional questions for the attorney?
No, sir.
Okay. I don't see any issues here with parking, safety, or traffic as it's been presented. Do any of the commissioners have any concerns about those issues?
Nope.
Well, yeah, so I suggest that we have the chief send a letter to the zoning board saying that we don't see any issues with this project with traffic, safety, or parking.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Need a motion.
Have a motion? Can there be a motion for that?
I'll make that motion, Commissioner Tabor.
I'll second.
Second.
Commissioner Bates?
All in favor? Mr. Tabor,
Aye.
Mr. Elmer,
All right.
Mr. Turner,
Aye.
Spates,
Aye.
an aye for me. Motion carries. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Roger.
Thank you very much. And again, I'm sorry, I was going to do a shared screen, but now we'll debug it. It'll all work eventually. Thank you very much for your time.
I understand that, Roger, you have an announcement you need to make?
Yes, everyone in the meeting that has dialed in, I want to state that we seem to be having a glitch with our meeting software at this time, where I, as the moderator, cannot unmute our dial-in users. So anyone who has been trying to raise their hand to speak earlier, or if they were trying to raise their hand to talk about a agenda item, I've not been able to unmute them currently. So it is up to you if you would like to take comments or request comments again from the public. What I would ask those who had dialed in to do would be to hang up, dial back in, request you equal as silent as you can, and I will not mute the call-in users at the time. And I will call on them one at a time. We will try and work our way through it as best as possible. But at this time, I cannot unmute our call-in users who have been trying to perhaps speak today.
All right, hopefully people will do that. And while this is going on,
You can give them an opportunity right now.
Yeah.
Roger, are you able to see if somebody wants to have a comment right now?
can you see anybody?
Well, there's a lot of folks that have been dialed in. I believe they may have been trying to do just that. However, I'm not seeing the hand raised in the software, and I'm not able to unmute anybody currently. So at this time, if you just want to stay in the meeting and listen in, that's perfectly fine. You're okay. But if you want to speak, please hang up, dial back in with the same meeting information, and I will not mute you as you enter, and we will allow you to make comments. And the same would be true of those who are dialing in to speak about agenda items later on in the meeting.
What do you think, Roger? Like 3 or 4 minutes right now, if we just stand by and see if anybody calls back in. That way it's fair to the public to make a comment.
Absolutely. And I look like we've had a couple people already leave the meeting. I've had one person dial back in.
Okay.
Hi, this is Diana Boersma. I've left and come back in. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Hi. I also spoke at last month's meeting about the parking situation near Clyde Cider Mill. And I just wanted to thank you all for your efforts at that time. The police chief had negotiated with the mill to put up signs in the neighborhood that said people should only park if they were able to have 4 wheels off of the road. Many people are complying with that. However, many people are not, especially closer to the mill, and there continues to be blockages close to the mill. The police have not been ticketing. They have been coming by. Periodically, they do talk to people as they are parking, and then those people don't park while the police are immediately there. But I have not seen a single ticket on a single car. So the situation near the mill has continued to be bad. You know, when the weather is nice and it's a weekend. In addition, the cider mill did put up the requested signs. They were quite visible. However, they did not put the signs up on separate posts. They just nailed them into our trees, which, you know, it causes some minor immediate damage to the tree, but it creates a risk that the tree will then rot around the nails. And if they don't remove the nails, the tree may well grow around the nails, presenting a future risk to anybody who then uses a saw on the tree. You know, if the tree rots enough to come down, or the tree has to come down for other reasons, you know, any saw that hits one of those nails is going to break or buck, and I would not want to be the person operating the saw. I ask that y'all talk to the mill again, have them remove the signs at the end of the season in a way that also removes the nails, and that you have them, since this has been at least partially successful, that next year you make a notation to have them put up the signs again, but to put them up on stakes or some other separate form that is not, you know, nailing it into living trees. And I think that's a fairly reasonable request. The other thing, I don't know whether this is a police commission issue or a zoning issue or otherwise, but the mill seems to be increasing its efforts to convince people to stay there for longer periods of time, which means that the people who come there and park need to leave their cars for a longer period of time, which creates, you know, which exacerbates the issue of their parking lot being too small to accommodate, you know, everybody who wants to go there. I think at the beginning of the season there may have been like 4 or 5 picnic tables out in front. I think now there are about 16. And in addition, they've added other parking tables around the back. You know, there should be something that, you know, regulates how they're using their property if they are unable to accommodate their customers because of the changes in use. Because the entire neighborhood is bearing the costs of the mill's increased activities. If you drive along the roads now, you will see anybody who has frontage near them that without a wall in front, their front lawn is now partially destroyed from the people parking. And anyone who does have a wall, you know, they've got pretty solid mud there now. It's not pretty.
This is Bob O'Shaughnessy. We received your email on this issue, and I reviewed it with Captain Olson already, and we certainly are aware of your concerns, and hopefully we'll be able to address some of it. And Captain Olson is going to take another look at this. You know, as the season winds down, I think that it's time for us to get together again in the beginning of the year and discuss how we're going to solve this problem or try to solve this problem for next season. But as far as the trees go, we'll make some attempts to get them to do that this season also. You know, and it may be that we have to take make stronger signage there for the upcoming season next year, having to do with possibly tow zone signs. I'm not sure yet, but we are going to look at that, and we have been discussing it here with Captain Olson, and he's going to be doing that. Hopefully we'll come to some solution that will help you with your situation out there. Any other commissioners?
I mean,
Thank you so much for your email. We have that in the file, and we are addressing that.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Suggest that I again attend a meeting to see what updates there are. Would that be January, February?
Probably, yes, probably about that time frame. We want to get well ahead of it well before the season, so we can explore other options that are going to try and solve this issue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Roger, do we have anybody else who wants to make a comment?
Yes, we seem to have a few more callers who have dialed out and then dialed back in. Anyone else there would like to make a comment on a public statement? Okay, I'm going to make the assumption that these folks have dialed back in.
Public comment?
Yes.
Hello? Yes, hi. I'd like to offer a public comment if possible.
Okay, go ahead. You have the floor.
Wonderful. Thank you. My name is Sarah Baker. I live in Mystic, and I wanted to thank Commissioner Tepper Bates for her thoughtful remarks to begin this meeting. And I wanted to voice my support as a citizen of this town for her remarks that she offered. Leaders matter. We are seeing that from the highest levels of power across our country and the globe to right here in our town. And so to this commission, I want to offer a story, an experience. This past July, we held a Black Lives Matter rally outside the Borough Free Library, and it occurred just a few weeks after the brutal attack on Miss Crystal Caldwell. Our rally was led by New London City Councilor Kevin Booker Jr., and he began his time with us by sharing his process for getting dressed that day for the event. It was going to be at noon in July on an unseasonably warm day. And in addition to having to think about what myself and what other folks in this town as white people had to think about that morning in terms of it being hot, how do I stay cool? How do I not get sunburned? It's just going to be hot. How do I deal with it? He had to think about how to dress as a person of color navigating the public spaces in our town. And so he made the decision to put on a blazer so as to not draw suspicion when navigating our public spaces in our town or to draw any looks, to code switch. And I just want to say that no person should ever have to feel that way in our town, period. We have an opportunity to grow. We have an opportunity to do better. And I really hope that the commission takes seriously what Commissioner Tepper Bates has said today. And again, I just wanted to voice my support as a citizen of this town. And I thank you for giving us the opportunity to dial in much later in the meeting to offer these public comments. It means a lot, and I deeply appreciate having this moment to speak. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Roger, do we have anybody else on the line? Roger, is there anyone else on the line?
It appears that people have dialed in. They are listening at this point. If there's anyone who would like to make a public comment, please speak now. Okay, Mr. O'Shaughnessy, I'm going to guess that these folks are going to speak later on the agenda items, so.
All right, the next item on the under new business is a letter on 2 additional stop signs at the intersection of Wolcott Avenue and Hopkins Street. This is an area where you've come before the commission before, and we had addressed this by putting 1 stop sign in. And I'd like to ask Commissioner Tabor to comment on this as he lives in that area.
I do. Yeah, I think we've received a letter from Stephen Dodd, who's president of the Laws Point Association. And at the association's last board meeting, Stephen in his letters described their request to have 2 additional signs installed. The road, the intersection that we're talking about is away from the water. It's kind of in more on the interior part of Lord's Point. However, there's quite a bit of vehicular traffic, and it's an area where youngsters ride their bikes, or mostly bikes, some skateboards, in that general vicinity, getting back and forth to their residences and our community center. And as a result, even with the addition of that 1 other stop sign, some of the residents that live immediately adjacent or abutting that intersection, they say, while it's improved a bit, they're still seeing cars doing California roll-throughs or not stopping. I guess I shouldn't suggest anything wrong with California drivers. that it's there's been some improvement, but not it hasn't eliminated it or reduced it to a safe level in their opinion. So as a result, the board would like us to take action and by way of the installation of 2 additional stop signs, and I would recommend it.
Thank you, Bob. Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak on this?
This is Stephen Dodd. Thanks, Bob. I'm the president of the Lord's Point Association, and I live at 59 Walcott Avenue in Stonington. I did send a letter. I actually originally was, when the request for a stop sign came up from the O'Hara family, I was actually reluctant to endorse the idea of 4 or 3 stop signs there. I got a chance in April and May, like everyone else. I spent a lot of time at home. I'm not that far, about 100 feet or 50 feet from that corner. And I observed a lot of young kids, primarily because one section of that is dirt road on Walcott, and they seem to really enjoy the potholes and all that. And it's also, there is a problem with sight lines coming into the corner, which I wrote in a letter, but so maybe you've all seen it. And that adds a significant complication to it. So at least for safety. So the board had voted unanimously to request the 2 signs.
Chief, do you have any comments?
No, we've been down there before when we put the other sign up, and probably makes sense. They're seeing what's going on and sort of take the lead from Steve Dodd and Commissioner Tabor on this one. So I think that'll be fine.
Okay, I entertain a motion to approve 2 stop signs.
So moved.
I'll second that, Commissioner Tabor.
Okay. All in favor, Commissioner Tabor?
Aye.
Commissioner Elmer?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Bates?
Aye.
Aye for me. Oh, the motion carries. Thank you very much, Steve, for bringing that to our
Thank
attention.
you.
Steve, just give the highway department a little time to get it out there.
No rush.
Sometimes it could be a
Thank you
day,
very
sometimes it could be 2 months. It all depends on your schedule.
The next item under new business on the agenda is a request for 2 caution signs on Cove Road. Is there anyone online that wants to talk about that? We received an email from Laura Noon, and Chief, you've talked to her already about this?
Yeah, we've had 2 officers go out. Sergeant Hirsch and Officer Saunders went out and visited. She does have one drive like your kids live here sign. So I'd recommend to the commission that we approve 2 of those signs. Cove Road has become a bit of a cut through because of Stonington Middle School. So I'd recommend that we stop that.
Do we have any comments from?
I would ask that if you're a dial-in user and you're watching this on the live stream, please turn the speakers down on your computer or device.
Any other comments from any of the other commissioners? Okay, I have a motion to approve a caution kid sign 2 on Cove Road and direct the chief to coordinate with the highway department to get those in place. Have a motion?
So moved, Commissioner Tabor.
Second?
Mr. Turner, second.
Okay, and we'll vote. Commissioner Tabor, vote.
Aye.
Elmer?
Aye.
Turner?
Aye.
Bates?
Aye.
I am an aye. Motion carried. Thank you very much. Motion carried. The next thing on the agenda is the 2021 Mystic Half Marathon. Is there anybody on the line that wants to address this issue? My feelings are, yeah. Oh, there he is. Josh, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Commission for hearing the proposal 2021 event. This year has changed drastically for so many businesses, including the health and fitness and event business. So we are proposing to hold the 7th annual Mystic Half Marathon and 10K race in November of 2021. The event is historically in May. We are optimistic that in the late fall, we will be able to hold the event in a very similar manner that it has been held for the last 6 years. So at this point, we're hoping for approval of that date as the event was planned, assuming the event would go on like it had in previous years. And then in the early summer, we will reassess with the necessary departments to see what the feasibility of a large gathering event is in late 2021.
Any questions for Mr. Miller from the commission? Do any questions on the marathon? My only concern is that it seems to be a little early, quite early. So I don't know if we can approve it, but being so early in the thing, it's over a year away. Chief, what's your feelings of this?
My comments are this. First of all, the Hartford Marathon Group are real pros when it comes to this. They're a pleasure to work with. They have worked hand in hand with us and Groton Town Police to pull off a great event for the community. And they're, like I said, they're pros at this. I think what they're trying to do is to get ahead of their schedule because they had to change everything around so much. So in general, we usually have, 6 month, 3 to 4 month lead time. So with them right now, I think they're trying to juggle their schedule around to be, look out for the future. So I think I'm understanding why they're coming in a year early to try and get their schedule straight. So I don't have a problem with that. The only thing, Josh, is that you have to have maybe a backup plan because you're in November and it's already snowed once this year here. And what are you going to do if it snows? And what's the plan? And then also you have a lot of work to do with Hartford Health, and which appears they're not open on the weekends up there. And then you have the new Harbor Heights. So you have a whole new group of residents up in that area that are affected by the marathon and the events going on with that. So we would have to work with pros. I'd recommend to the commission they approve it. That way they can get it in their calendar, start to do the advertisement, and get back to normal if we can do that.
This is Commissioner Bates. I'd also like to speak in favor for the reason that if we can approve this, this type of event is really important to a lot of people in our community, and it's taking a real psychological toll on people, which I think we all recognize this time of COVID where so much has been canceled. So to be able to put this type of event on the calendar, even if it's a little further out than we wish it were, and to allow Hartford Marathon to advertise that to folks who look forward to this, I think is really important.
All right. Any other comments from any commissioners? No. Can I have a motion to approve the Hartford Marathon for Sunday, November 14, 2021?
So moved.
Second?
Second, Commissioner Elmer.
Okay. Vote Tabor?
Aye.
Elmer?
All right.
Turner?
Aye.
Bates?
Aye.
O'Shaughnessy, aye.
The only comment I have is with Josh, we need the insurance, we need the hold harmless, you need all the stuff that we normally do, the meeting ahead of time, and it should be good to go. So I appreciate all their efforts.
Thank you, Josh. Next item on the agenda is 3D crosswalks. Is there anybody from the public that wants to talk about that? Chief, can you comment on you were in contact with them, right?
The 3D sidewalks, I would at this point take it as an FYI. Although it's a great concept, we have to abide by some of the or most of the manual and uniform traffic control. And I'm not sure the concept is caught up to the manual at this point in time and where they actually have them. I know Robbie hit some places around the country that have had that. Probably some of our most visible crosswalks in the community are ones that are on state roads, and I have not heard the state embracing this at this particular point in time. So I think as we go along, it will be something we may see down the line with the Chamber of Commerce or something like that, maybe or aquarium or something may be coming about this. Then at that point in time, we evaluate what that would mean. So I think it's a decent idea for the future, but I'm not quite sure we're ready for it at this point.
Yeah. So let's table this for future meeting.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Turner, what is a 3D crosswalk? How's it different from a regular crosswalk?
A 3D crosswalk is one that has some unique design in it. An example would be one that's designed like a piano board. So in other words, not just a plain crosswalk. You can see some of them in New London where they have used painted what appear to be bricks in the crosswalk. And the requirement is for the state is they have to have white markings down the side. Though they can make the center is one thing, they have to have white markings along the side for crosswalks. So there's a lot of different things that people do in these crosswalks. Some of them have put musical notes on them in other parts of the country. I don't know any place that has done anything. Chief, I don't know anything place other than New London.
Right. No, I mean, we've had, if you go into Westerly, some of the crosswalks over there are actually bricks.
Yeah.
So it's not painted. Some places I've seen do that. They've done sort of entrances or near like an event or like the aquariums around the country may have dolphins or et cetera painted on the crosswalks. So I think right now, without having gone to the highway department too much, it probably takes special equipment or some kind of sponsor to do that. Until that happens, I'm not quite sure. We'd have to have a contest to see where we would put it and what it would say and what it would look like. So I'm not sure we're ready for it quite yet.
Okay.
But it's something to look at.
Thank you.
Chairman?
Yes.
To Commissioner Turner's question, I've also seen examples of these crosswalks are actually optical illusion, where they give the presentation that the markers in the crosswalks are actually elevated.
Oh, that I don't know what the state highway. I don't know what the state DOT would think about
that, Commissioner, and see some examples of 3D crosswalks. You'll see it again. Many of them are, again, optical illusions.
Okay. All right, so I think we'll just table this since there's no one here to talk on that or things.
Hi. Hello?
Yes. Hello?
Hi, it's Rob. I was the one that sent the photos to Chief Stewart about it.
Okay.
So I did a little research on it. I tried to get in contact with the New Canaan Public Works Director, Tiger Mann. He's the other, I guess the only other town besides New London that did these things. Now, I guess the reason for it, because they did it next to a school, just because for like, I think because some kid almost got hit from somebody like driving too fast. I tried to question on how he did it, regardless if it was because they make stencils for him. But I also found that you can actually like chalk them out and then paint them like by hand. So the only cost would be the paint for doing these things, which I don't know who buys the paint, if it's the highway department, the PD, or like I don't know where the paint comes from. And then there was a town in Medford, Mass, that also did the same thing with a similar reason of a kid almost getting hit by I think a middle school. But I was just throwing that out there.
It certainly is an interesting concept, but you know, I would like to see what they actually look like, and I would like to know what the DOT's position on these items were before we go ahead with that. Any other questions from any other commissioners? I think we should get some research, and that ask the chief to call DOT on that.
I'd also like to propose that we should get some information from the chief as to whether there are crosswalks where we have repeatedly seen problems with people trying to cross and having issues with cars not stopping or what have you, because I think that's the problem that these are meant to solve for. So we should know where those problems are if we're going to try and solve.
Yeah, I can give you that right away, Lisa. East Main Street at the flagpole, East Main Street in front of Bravo, downtown Pawcatuck at Cogswell Street on Route 1, Route 1, which is West Broad Street, also by Mel's Creamery. We've had West Broad Street School in front of the school, which is now St. Michael's, and Route 2 in front of the old St. Michael's school and the church through there. Those are usually the main ones that we've had issues on. And also, probably the bigger one is in front of the Mystic Seaport. People trying to cross between the two lights. So you have the north lot and the south lot of the Mystic Seaport. Then you have 3 crosswalks in between there. And at times that takes people by surprise. So the vast majority, or all of them that I mentioned, are on state highways. And I have not heard of the state embracing any of that because of the MUTC, and that would require the state to install those or change them in some way. But I can reach out to our local rep to see if he's heard of this, seen it, and if there's any feasibility down the road. And again, with any of this stuff, there is a cost that's associated with it.
Thank you, Chief. That's helpful.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments?
One last one. I just thought of it. There was one that got, I know this is a little distant, but one got put in Kansas City. And I think it was like a housing development, kind of like Castle Hill area. So they just did it just to try it because they were having problems with people driving too fast. And I don't live in Castle Hill. I live on Cove Road. But it was people was having a lot of kids, bikes, whatever, kids playing around, and it actually did help the cars to tone it down with the speed a little bit. So just to throw my 2 cents in there.
Well, certainly anything that we can do to improve the safety of pedestrians crossing the street is something that we should look into. And I think we should gather some additional information to see what may be the cost factor and if it be approved. So I think that we're not going to be doing any painting until the spring. So I think we should table this for a couple of meetings and allow us to do some research on this. Do any of the commissioners have any other ideas? And Rob, if you could, if you have any additional information, please send it into the chief so we could look at that.
All right, I'll dig a little more and see what I can find.
Great. Thank you so much for your interest in this. It'll hopefully make the community safer. Most of the table, it's till maybe January. That you, Commissioner Elmer?
Fine.
All right.
Are you looking for a motion?
Yeah, motion to, do you have a motion,
So
Mr.?
moved.
Okay, second, the motion to table is till January.
Commissioner Tabor seconds.
Vote, and vote please, Tabor, Commissioner Tabor,
Aye.
Commissioner Elmer,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Bates.
Aye.
I vote aye. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the the Quality Inn report that was submitted, that ordered by the town. And that report was posted, the investigative report was posted by the town on the town website and is available for anybody to see it. Is there any body from the public that would like to comment on that? Okay. Roger, do we have anybody?
There are a couple folks that are dialed in, unmuted, and they've not chosen to speak at this time.
Hello? Are you with me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hi,
Yes.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Sandra Laub. I live in Pawcatuck, and I too, first of all, wanted to welcome Lisa Tepper Bates to the board, and like Sarah Baker, I applaud her statement at the start of these proceedings. I appreciate her honesty and fresh perspective on this board, and I look forward to following her progress. That being said, I'm looking forward to hearing what steps the board will take based on the investigative report that's found many so-called tactical errors related to Ms. Crystal Caldwell's attack and the escape of her attacker. After studying that report myself, respectfully, here are some of my thoughts and suggestions. This is about a 4-minute statement. I appreciate you giving me the time I need to make it. I believe that the errors in judgment made by Stonington police officers at the scene of the crime were made in the context of systemic racism. I believe that virtually every town in America has been touched by a renewed call to racial justice and police reform. Stonington was and is no different. Sarah referenced that July 6th rally. I believe that after such a divisive summer, after a racist incident, such as what happened at the Quality Inn, we are all called on to do just what is happening now, investigate, come to an understanding about how to mitigate an environment that invites such egregious errors in professional judgment, and then follow through with committed action. I'll give you 3 main faults I found based on the report, and I'll suggest several actionable steps. First, the fact that on the day of the attack, Ms. Caldwell's in-person testimony, her coworkers' in-person testimony, and even just that little bit of video officers were able to view at the scene of the attack. We know they didn't see the vicious beating until days later when we all saw it on social media. This fact that officers knew the extent of the violence and racist slurs directed at Ms. Caldwell, this truth that the officers on site allowed the assailant to be taken to hospital before arresting him, this to me is the most important, most horrendous reminder of the systemic racism that exists just under the surface of our close to 90% white community. It has been said, and I agree, if the roles had been reversed, would the attackers have been allowed to escape? Would the police have been so solicitous to the attacker? Would the police have acted with such a lack of urgency? Second, the lack of clear communication between officers and the true victim, not Farner, who looms ridiculously large in this report. The officers had plenty of conversations with him, but did they have clear communication with the discharge nurse at L&M? No. With Ms. Caldwell's son, who knew the attackers had already left? No. Clear, open, and sympathetic communication that would have favored the true victim over her attacker, both during and after the day's events, might have, in hindsight, to use the words of the report, prevented the attacker from escaping and endangering other communities for weeks after what happened in Mystic. Third, the official press statement issued by SPD was inaccurate and left the public in the dark about actual COVID protocols at area hospital. That press release was based on errors made by the officer at the scene. and that's a generous way to say it. Actionable steps. First, schedule anti-racism training. Do it virtually now, as we teachers in public schools have received it. In some cases, it's given for free by the ADL or by local officers with perhaps more expertise. Give these trainings as paid professional development. Let the public know they are being given. Let's see it happen on a regular, required basis, and let's see it taken seriously from the top down. Second, let's see an update in COVID-era communications training, especially as it relates to coordination between police and hospital staff. And let's see an updated press release that is accurate based on the report. Third, let's see follow-up with the victim after the attack. That's a place for social services to follow through as an arm of future police reform. Fourth and last, my recommendation is that the officers most intimately involved with the case make a personal apology to Ms. Caldwell. If that's not something that's ever been done before, maybe it's time to start now. Those officers are the ones who saw her in shock with the ice pack to her eye. They are the ones who finally saw those moments of the video when she was set upon, grabbed, held down, and kicked in the head. Put yourself in her shoes. How do you think it felt to be attacked physically and verbally, to be called those vile racist names, to be told that your attacker would be arrested, and then nothing? Thank God she's alive. Apologize. That's how healing begins. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your input. Roger, do we have anybody else on the line that would like to comment?
I'm not seeing anyone else at this time.
Okay. I have a statement that I want to make. The town of Stonington hired the firm of Blum, Shapiro and Company, PC, to conduct an independent fact-finding and review of the police practices in response to an incident that occurred in the town at the Quality Inn on June 26, 2020. This review was assigned to attorney Frank Rudowitz, who has more than 30 years' experience as a police officer and attorney in conducting these types of investigations. Our review of the final investigator report of attorney Rudowitz showed that good decisions based on the circumstances known at the time by officers sometimes do not produce the desired results. The finding reached by attorney Rudowitz was there was no violations of policy, procedure, or law. During this investigation, one of the areas he was tasked to review was 5 previous incidents that had similar fact patterns, and he found that minority suspects were not treated any differently than the suspect in this matter. He also did not find any racial bias or malicious intent by the Stonington Police Department in the failure to take Sarna into custody on June 26. Attorney Rudowitz found that the Stonington PD conducted a professional, thorough, and complete investigation that accumulated in the arrest of the 2 suspects on more serious charges. The police commissioner wants to underscore that the police department of Stonington is here to support and defend our community. They're fully committed to this mission, to taking additional steps going forward to make the department better every day and to ensure that we get to our community. As suggested by attorney Rudowitz, this report will be referred to Chief Stewart for review of the incident response as a training tool for future similar incidents. Chief Stewart has been directed to report back to the commission on his findings. Do we have any comments by the commissioners? One other thing, we have received a letter today from Ray of Hope outlining their concerns also. That will be made a part of the file to the chief for his review. Do I have a motion to refer this to the chief?
Yep, Mr. Chairman, if there aren't any comments, public comments or additional comments from other commission members, I'd like to make a motion.
Go
I
ahead.
do have one quick comment, please, and I just believe it was an omission and intended on the part of the chair. And that is that with regard to some of the, I wonder if people could mute if they're not speaking. There's an echo. Thank you. I believe, Mr. Chairman, in reading the statement on behalf of all of the police commissioners, I believe it was an unintended omission on your part because it's my understanding that we did, in fact, agree to add that in addition to taking steps to make the department better every day, we want to ensure that we continue to honor the diversity of our community. I don't believe I heard you read that, but I think it was an unintended omission on your part if you did not. Is that correct, Mr. Chair? Is that part of our shared statement?
Is he muted?
If the chair is speaking, we're not able to hear you.
Sorry about that. The additional statement is the one I meant that the police commission wants to underscore that the police department of Stonington is here to support and defend every member of our community. We're fully committed to this mission, to taking additional steps going forward to make the department better every day and to ensure that we continue to honor the diversity of our community. If you have anything additional you'd like to add, Commissioner Bates, we'd be happy to put that into the record.
No, Mr. Chair, that was the statement. I believe you simply omitted the last phrase by accident in the first oral reading of it. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay. Mr. Tabor?
Yeah, I'll continue with my motion, Mr. Chairman. I would like to make a motion to formally accept the independent investigation of the response of the Stonington Police Department on June 26, 2020, and provided to the chief of the department provided to the chief with departmental review for subsequent policy and procedural improvements and recommendations, which will be reported back to the commission for further action.
Do you have a second on Mr. Tabor's motion?
Second.
I have a vote. Commissioner Tabor?
Aye.
Commissioner Elmer?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Bates?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Mission carries. Under old business, this is Washington Street and Willow Street. And this is ongoing issues that have been going on quite a while. And this has to do mainly with the change of Cottrell Street into one-way. We received a letter. I believe that you received this letter, Commissioner Tabor, before the last meeting.
Yeah, dropped off at my house, Commissioner.
Okay. And the concern is the amount of traffic that are being addressed funneled onto Willow Street from the one-way on Cottrell Street. As we said, before we put this into effect, that this was going to be a 2-year trial period to see what the effect would be. And we will take this letter and put it and take into consideration the concerns of the citizens here. It's signed by 6 people that are in that area. So we'll definitely add that to our file and address that when it comes up for review. Unfortunately, this has not been a normal year for us. With COVID, we're seeing a great deal of additional traffic into the Mystic downtown area. It's put a lot of strain in not only just that area, but the entire town. So hopefully we'll be able to address those issues when we review this. In addition, I'd just like to bring up that the town of Stonington and the town of Groton have entered into an agreement for a parking study. And they've hired a consultant to look at the parking in Mystic and in Groton. And the commission, I have gone to one of the virtual meetings for the Mystic Parking Management Plan. So this is in the infant stages of development, and I will report back to the commission when we get when they make some determinations. So this is an ongoing study. Unfortunately, this just has to do with parking. It really doesn't have to do with traffic flow. As talking to Commissioner Bates, it certainly would have been better if they also included traffic flow into this as well as parking. But the towns decided just to make this a parking study to see availability of parking and to get parking turned over. So as that develops, I'll be happy to get back and report to the commission on their findings. Chief, do you have anything on that?
Well, a couple things with that. If you remember back, so we're going back a couple of commissions. Has to do with not only Cottrell Street but Willow Street. There was a proposal at one point in time to have Willow Street one way from Washington Street to East Main Street, and a lot of the talk that I hear in that area is that probably should have been done at that particular time with Cottrell Street. But I think the 2-year time period is a good test period. I've heard a bunch of positives, not only on the parking, but also the fact that we had fewer accidents at the intersections this year. So that is a positive at this point in time. So I think, again, we're going to take a look at it a little over a year from now and see where it goes. We're going to probably have another summer of it and see how it's working and the benefits to the downtown, and then the commission will have to make a decision about that. But as far as it goes right now, I think we continue to stay the course.
We did make some additions on Jackson Avenue and Willow Street. There were some concerns by some of the residents there that people were parking too close to a driveway, and so in addition, we have had those streets marked with defined parking spaces. Hopefully that will alleviate some of those issues. So my suggestion is that we table this item until the spring. Any comments from any commissioners? All right. I think we'll table this to one of our spring meetings, maybe April. The next one on is traffic and boating. We've got a request for town dock wayfaring signs, and this came from Michael Grimshaw. Asked the commission about the wayfaring signs similar to what Ness and the Lighthouse Museum are up. And Chief, have we moved ahead with this? I mean, this wayfaring signs.
Well, that it's not just a matter of wayfaring signs for the town. With Michael, it had to do with if you look up on 95, you're going to see a series of signs up there that basically are attractions for each community. And if you have the attractions, that means you have to add to the local roads how do you get to that attraction. So this is very, very similar to the Denison Pequot Nature Center, Homestead, the campus that we had called it, on how you get people off the highway onto local roads and to the attraction. So that is not really a DOT. It was more of a economic development on how they were able to do some of those signage up there. So I think at this point in time, I had sent it off to Sue Cullen and to the First Selectwoman's office to see how they got some of that up there, because that was a process outside of the police department for those signs. And certainly if the state DOT wants to install them, or whatever process they use to determine who has a spot on those signs on the highway, when it comes to us as a local traffic authority, I think we act on it at that particular time. But I have not heard back. So I sent this off to the town hall and I've not heard back.
Okay, so there's no action needed on this right now until we hear from that.
I'll check back with them.
Thank you. The next and this is North Main Street at Cutler. And this was a request by the neighborhood there to put additional stop signs at Cutler. And what the commission decided to do was to put crossing traffic does not stop signs, and we put that up. And we're going to evaluate that and see if that solves the issue at North Main and Cutler. And if it doesn't, we'll readdress this with possible stop signs.
They went up those crossing traffic doesn't stop
Right.
signs went up the next day, went up on that Friday.
Okay.
So I haven't heard back from the original email or caller from last month. So far so good.
Okay.
So hopefully that
There
will make a difference.
Any comments from the commissioners? Okay. Go ahead. All right. Next, I need a motion to approve the minutes from Thursday, October 8th, the regular meeting. It's as passed out to as received.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the meeting from the Thursday, October 8th, 2020 meeting.
Okay. Second.
Commissioner Turner seconds.
Okay. Vote. Tabor.
Aye.
Elmer.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Bates.
I'll abstain. I wasn't a member of the commission at the time.
Oh, okay, that's true. Okay, aye, motion passed. Thank you. The next thing on the agenda is report of the chief.
Okay, good. I think it's good evening to everybody. Yes, good evening to everybody. In your packets, you had the budget report, which basically we're about 33% through the budget year, about 1/3. So if you go through certain line items, you can see more or less where we stand. I always look at the bottom line in the back, and we haven't done the crisscross yet, which means that we are in the black instead of the red. We're currently in the red a little bit, but that usually straightens out as we get further along in the year. The only line item that we are having a little bit of a difficulty with would be on our regular overtime. And you can see we're almost halfway through our regular overtime. And that has to do with, we had the sergeant that retired, and we just filled that with Sergeant Hirsch. So that should alleviate some of that. We had 2 other retirements that came along, and that put a little bit of a stress on patrols. So those are a little bit of overtime fills there. And then some of our larger cases that we were working on. So that was something that that's the one we're keeping an eye on at this point in time. But the bottom line is that our bottom line is going to be healthy. Next is monthly statistics. We're still in the COVID world right now. You can see some of our numbers are down, some of our numbers are up. We still are going on the medical calls that are out there. We are still going on the accidents. And one of the big things I wanted to talk about was we had 49 criminal arrests last month compared to 38 1 year ago. We had a series of incidents. We had some larcenies, burglaries, and some other arrests that happened. The big thing with our larcenies is the larcenies from motor vehicles, knock on wood, went down to 0 for last month. And I think the month before we had 28 or 29 off the top of my head. So that was one good thing that certainly slowed down. You have your alarm report, just giving you an idea of who's registering for alarms. You're seeing a bit of a decline in the registration, and I believe that has to do with some of the non-traditional alarm companies or services that are out there today that you can do it yourself at home instead of an alarm company, and that I think has made an impact on our numbers. You have our special event schedule that's in the packet as well, and hopefully we can see that starting to increase. Next in your packet is the post-compliance to law enforcement standards and practices, which means that the police academy came in and looked at our current policies and procedures to make sure that we had certain things in our policies and procedures that the law requires. So we have an audit that is done. This is the second audit that we did. We have certain things in there that as far as like use of force, our complaint procedure, that they have met the current state standards that are out there. You can see the word CALEA in there. You can see CLESP. You can see a variety of different things in that letter. This is why earlier Attorney Eric Daigle was on, to keep us going in that direction, to update our stuff, keep it going in the right direction, and we're going to have more and more of this coming down the pike for us. So, but at this point in time, we did fine, which that's what we want. We had current practices in place at this particular time. Use of force update, I believe Commissioner O'Shaughnessy had been in and took a look at our use of force incidents over the month, and I don't believe we had any in October.
No, we did not.
We did not. We interviewed a part-time animal control officer candidates last week, so a shout out to Commissioner Elmer for voting in the morning to us to interview 3 candidates. We have one that has a conditional offer and is finishing up the background, and we hope to have that person on board in short order. Probably it's going to, excuse me, take another month and a half because there's certain testing that has to be done with that. Our bulletproof, sort of going along, our bulletproof vests are in. You can see a plate that we have, everybody had. We have outer carriers. Everybody can see these. We were able to do that through our SIP account, but we also have our Bulletproof Partnership grant that we go for, which pays up to 50% of our cost of our grants and cost of our vests. So we will be applying for that very shortly. The only glitch that we had with our vests is they came in the wrong uniform color, so they're actually having to replace them brand new, and they're going to be replaced right out of the box. Next on the agenda is the animal control vehicle bid waiver. You should have been emailed that. And part of our current year SIP is the animal control vehicle. We had $35,000 that is part of that account. And we also were calling upon the dog registration fund that bought the current police animal control vehicle. So we have $50,000 in that account. So a shout out to Lieutenant Schneider, who's been going out and getting quotes, looking for what is going to be the right fit for us. So he came across MHQ with a F-250 new pickup with the Swab Wagon Company out of Elizabethville, Pennsylvania, that has the transport body and equipment on the back of a truck. So that will take us below the $50,000, and we'd have to go to the Board of Finance as well to get the bid waiver from them to grab that. And that came off one of the bid lists that we have out there that we participate in. So it's already really been out to bid already. So I would recommend to the Police Commission that they approve this. We'll go to the Board of Finance when I go for Attorney Daigle's group, and we can get the ball rolling on the new animal control vehicle.
We have a motion to go with the bid waiver.
So moved, Commissioner Turner.
Second.
So moved.
Commissioner, vote to Mr. Tabor.
Aye.
Elmer.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay, then I got a couple of other things. If any of the commissioners are interested in implicit bias training, the town put something out just the other day. So I know myself and Commissioner O'Shaughnessy have signed up for that, which is on the 20th. It's online. It's about 4 hours long. I do not know a lot about who the presenters are, but if anybody's interested in that training, you'd have to let me know probably by tomorrow. And sort of to that point on bias training, just so the commission is aware, because there was talk of it earlier, that every police officer in the state of Connecticut has to go through hate and bias training to be recertified every 3 years. So that is done either at the police academy when you're a recruit, and then after that, you have to do that every 3 years. You have it's either 1 or 2 hours of bias training as part of your recertification training. And we also go by what the police academy tells us or requires us to do as far as that particular training goes. So just so you're aware of that. As you can see, No Shave November is in full gear right now. I am participating with that. We'll probably get you guys to see if anybody wants to, excuse me, either participate or to help fund us. We're usually in a competition with other communities on how much money we can raise to help fight cancer. So that's what that's about. We're also going to be going to the Board of Finance on the boat grant, and I think this is right up your alley, Commissioner Tabor. The feds have come through with a 75%, 25% matching grant to update all of our electronics on our police boat to match what the Coast Guard and other agencies have. So it looks like it's going to be about a $12,000 lift. So we're going to go to the Board of Finance with that as well, and whether we are going to take it internally by, again, moving money around, or whether the Board of Finance will make a special.
Great.
Chief, this is Commissioner Bates. I wanted just to remind that I believe you were going to talk about the collaboration that we're going to move forward with between United Way of Connecticut 211 and Stonington Police. Chief, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Yes, if that's a little bit further down on my list here, and I'll get to that in just a second, Commissioner Bates. The boat grant will be going to the Board of Finance as well. Let's see, I spoke at 2 academy graduations, the Connecticut State Police graduation, which I believe 3 members of that class are Stonington residents, and I also spoke at the New Britain Regional Police Academy graduation last week. And to Commissioner Bates' point, we had a conversation about the domestic violence with CCADV and also 211 and also mobile outreach. We sort of called it a circle or a triangle of how we get social services involved in some of the calls that police officers go on that require mental health assistance or domestic violence assistance and outreach. So we have something in the works. I don't think we have a date yet, but to talk with 211, which I know Commissioner Bates is in charge of with her group, and some of the other people out there that we are having conversations with to sort of get around the table or around the Zoom to have a conversation about how we can best do that. So we look forward to that. Yesterday I was on Food for Thought with Christ Church. Well, first of all, Commissioner Bates, did you want to make any comments on that? I'm sorry, I'm moving quickly here.
Thank you, Chief. Just to thank you and to make sure the other commissioners know that I'm very pleased to be able to collaborate with you on this. As the commissioners know, I'm the president and CEO of United Way of Connecticut. So we run 211, which is the emergency call center funded in part by the state of Connecticut, several agencies. We have a variety of 24-hour mental health supports, and we work very closely with the Departments of Mental Health and Addiction Services, Department of Children and Families, Department of Social Services. So there are a number of aspects of what we are able to provide, potentially 24 hours a day, that I want to make sure that Stonington police officers are aware of and have access to when it's of help. I'm grateful, Chief, to you. Much of this you've already been working on, but I'm glad to bring anything additional that we can in the way of new ways to work together with your leadership. So thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. There's a lot of discussion out there on how everything's going to work. I mean, I mentioned to you about CCADV, Safe Futures. We have the MOU with Safe Futures, and we work with them on a regular basis. And also mobile outreach. We've been had a new sort of outreach program with them in the past month or two that Sergeant Hirsch has been assisting them with some clientele and going out into the community where needed, and it's worked out very well. And we have some procedures going right now. It seems to work very good at this particular time to help out some citizens in need of assistance. So appreciate the comments back and forth on that.
And also, Chief, don't forget we have a group of ministers and a priest, Father Tom, that help out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, Father Tom came out and assisted us last Friday on a tragic case, and he came right out and was right there for not only the friends and the family, but the first responders that had to go on that particular call. And actually, that sort of got to, you jumped the gun on me, Commissioner Tabor, because when I was on Food for Thought, which is a TV or Zoom program with the Christ Church over in Westerly, I talked with Father Chandy about the chaplain program and how successful it's been and what's going on. And he's actually expressed interest in being a chaplain at some point in time down the road. We had a very good conversation online or on the air to discuss just what you were bringing up. So it's certainly appreciated.
Terrific.
And then two other things that I would like to bring to the commissioner's attention. And, there's a lot of things going on in the world, but not only with COVID and pandemic and everything that's going on, but we can't forget that we're still in the middle of a opiate crisis in the community. And earlier on in the month, Officer Nick Long Narcaned, for lack of a better term, a person down and out and in trouble, brought that person back. Also, the other night, there was somebody having some difficulty, sort of along the lines that we're just talking with Commissioner Bates. Officers from around the region came together and located the subject safe and got them the necessary help they needed. So sort of bad things that led to good actions by police officers, and that's truly what we're about. So I'll leave on that good note as far as my report goes. I always feel like I've forgotten something, but I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Right. I just want to apologize. I was remiss for not welcoming Commissioner Bates to the commission. And I look forward to, as I'm sure the other commissioners, to working with her and her expertise. And we've just seen an example of that with the 211 system. I'm sure is going to be a great benefit to all of us working on the commission. So welcome aboard, Commissioner Bates.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it.
All right. Nothing else? I ask for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, just before we leave, I'd like to just put my name forward for the anti-bias training that was mentioned. I believe I've had an email on that. I apologize, Chief Stewart, for not responding. And it would be my hope that perhaps at the next commission meeting, we could report that 100% of the commission members were able to attend that training. I think that would be a terrific leadership signal if that's something we could all do.
Sounds good. I need a motion to approve the report of the chief.
I'll make that motion, Commissioner Tabor.
Second, Turner.
Vote, Tabor.
Aye.
Elmer.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Consent agenda, we're good. Chief, you have anything else?
I know it's tough on the Zoom stuff. I'll resend the training out to everybody, and certainly if you're available, I don't know what the deadline was off the top of my head, but I think it's probably next Tuesday. If that's the case, if you can get back to me, then I can send it off to the town hall and certainly figure out what the, how you sign on and everything. It looks like it goes from 10:30 to 1:30. So if you plan accordingly, and I have to know by Tuesday by 3 p.m. If you can get it to me earlier, I'd appreciate it. That way I can get it off the town hall and we can go from there. I also did. I also
Chief,
sent.
to be clear, if we raise our hands now, are we counted down for that, or do you need a separate email?
Got to send me the email because I got to forward that to the town hall, and I believe they're going to send you the link. They're going to send you everything that goes along, and there may be a registration that has to happen. So this isn't really coming out of the PD right now. It's through the town hall, so it's a little bit different process. So I'm not quite sure what to expect from them, but I think the best thing is to send me an email. I'll send it off to town hall, and we'll probably all get links on what to do. When I get the link, I'll remind everybody that it came in case it's goes into the wrong file or wrong email or something like that. That way everybody knows where it's at.
Thank you.
And the other one is the
walk along,
the walkability in your community. And, you know, we're dealing with earlier the discussions on Cottrell Street and Washington Street, Mystic, and some of the areas over there. So I'd encourage if anybody has the time to also take a look at this one. This is an hour-and-a-half long one on Tuesday. I don't know if anybody signed up for it, but if I believe Commissioner O'Shaughnessy did, and it may have something good, may not, but probably worth a look. So I appreciate the training opportunities for everybody.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. I just wanted for Commissioner Bates, the training that's coming out of Town Hall was initiated by the first selectman. So so that's why email so that if everybody's registered appropriately. So just to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you, June.
I need a motion. If nobody has anything else, I have a motion to join the meeting.
So moved. Oh, so sorry.
Go ahead. Is that you, Mr.?
I'll defer it to Commissioner Bates.
All right.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes, same to you.
Thank you.
Okay.